Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am here to share with you the absolute worst products I tried in 2022. And these are just the worst products that I tried, meaning usually I only try things that I have very high expectations for, things that I am almost convinced I'm going to love. Otherwise, I sometimes skip a thing or two, you know? So these products are not only pretty bad in my personal opinion, but also they were just disappointing because I expected more from these brands, I expected more from these formulas, etc. Please take everything I'm about to say with a pinch of salt because these might be some of your favorite products. I don't know, they just didn't work for me personally, okay? Just sharing my humble opinion here. And like I said, these are the worst of the best. They're not like the actual worst, you know? Anyways, if you're excited for today's video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up and let's just go ahead and get started. Since this video is about the worst products and I'm going to be a little mean to some of these, I decided to wear my Disney villain makeup. This is what I'm calling this makeup look because it's like dark and shiny and I feel like Cruella de Vil a little bit. Maybe I need to put on some red lipstick. I don't know. I really like the eye look though. And if you're interested in anything I'm wearing, of course, everything will be linked down below in the description box. Let's start by bashing one of my absolute favorite brands in the whole wide world, and that is Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath disappointed me this year. Not once, but twice. I could totally mention as one of the most disappointing makeup releases this year, the Star Wars palette that's about to come out, the Star Wars Mothership palette that is old and we've had and it's been on sale forever and they just repackaged and are planning to sell it for the full price. The packaging of that palette, absolutely beautiful, but it is just not worth it. They should have just come out with something new. So that right there can already be a worst makeup release this year. But the main makeup release from Pat McGrath that disappointed me that I want to talk about was something that I actually purchased because I had high expectations for, and I'm ultimately not in love with it, and it is such an inconvenience to have. Let me explain why. I'm talking about this chunky big thing right here. This is the Pat McGrath Blushing Delights that came out as part of her Bridgerton collection, and this is what the inside looks like. Right, so you have 3 blushes and a highlighter in here that occupy probably 1/4 of the space that this huge chunky packaging has. I have yet to find where to store this properly because it just doesn't fit in any drawer. It's such an inconvenient shape. Besides that, unfortunately, the shades were too bright, too pigmented for me, which is totally okay because I know that people with darker, deeper complexions are actually going to be able to take better advantage of this one than me. But the main reason it made it to my list of worst products is, one, because I can't be biased about Pat McGrath. If I didn't like something, I need to share it. But also, mainly, it's just the packaging. I really, truly hope she never comes out with packaging like this one ever again because it's just such a waste of space. I think I'm going to actually maybe see if I can depot these and put them somewhere else. I don't have anything against the formula of these. I think the formula is nice. It's pigmented. They have this really nice shine and finish to them. Mainly my issue is the packaging because these are actually really pretty pigmented blushes and highlighter, but the packaging was just a total miss for me. So I'm putting it in the worst of 2022. Another one of my absolute favorite brands in the whole wide world also disappointed me big time by making these cigarette looking travel cases right here. I'm talking about Charlotte Tilbury, and these right here are like travel makeup cases that she came out with, and they have 3 different products in there. You're supposed to be able to do eyeshadow and cheeks with these. They're supposed to be really nice and travel friendly. This is what they look like up close. Right, so I like the packaging actually. I think the packaging is very convenient. I really like the mirror in here. The issue with this one is honestly simply the price, okay? The actual products in here, really nice as well. They perform well, they're natural looking, they have nice pigmentation, they blend like an absolute dream. But why in the world would we pay $75 for 3 mini-sized items. That part just doesn't make sense to me. If these were maybe like $30, $40, even $50, I feel like that would have been justifiable, but $75 for these 3 teeny tiny little products, I just don't think it's worth it. Besides that, I haven't really found myself reaching for this because they're not amazing enough to make me want to reach for them all the time. It was just the convenience aspect of it that I liked, and the fact that the products do perform well. But for $75, no thank you. I'd much rather invest in other makeup that will perform just as well and that I won't feel robbed by, you know? I actually now have 4 of these because I bought 2 for the review video when it first came out, and then I received 2 months later from the Charlotte Tilbury team, and I was like, I felt a little guilty because I just don't like these. Yes, they are convenient, and yes, they are actually good products. I might even take them with me whenever I travel next, but it's just not a product that I reach for all that often. And the price I just find kind of on the outrageous side, you know? My next product is from a brand that just came out this year, and that is Give by Gwen Stefani, and this is the glosses. I actually tried their lip liners and I really love them. I need to try their lipsticks. I've heard good things about their lipsticks, but when these glosses were first announced, I was very captivated by the shade of them, by how creamy they looked. I truly thought that these were going to be it, okay? However, I don't think I have tried a more goopy, sticky gloss in years. Let me just put it on. And it is such a shame because, as you can see, the color is actually freaking beautiful. But this is simply one of those glosses that I put on and I am immediately uncomfortable. It's so sticky, and I feel like if I had my hair down or a side bangs situation going on, the moment I moved, my hair is going to be stuck to my face like if I had honey on. These are really beautiful looking glosses, I'm not gonna lie. I do really like how they look, but I just can't do this gloss formula. It's so sticky, it's so thick, and again, it's something that I hadn't seen in years now. I feel like lately, majority of the glosses that come out are a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more hydrating, a lot less sticky. This formula took me back at least 10 years, and I just can't stand the formula of these, unfortunately, so I didn't recommend them when I first tried them, and I still don't. I had to immediately take that off because I couldn't stand it. Let's talk about another product that was disappointing to me, and that is this MAC Cosmetics bronzer right here. I talked about it in my bronzer ranking because this was the worst bronzer I tried in 2022, and the reason is sad, really. It is a very pigmented product, I'll give it that. It seems to have a very nice formula, but the undertones of all of these bronzers were so yellow, and they only came out with 4 different shades. This right here is the lightest shade of this bronzer, believe it or not, and it is so freaking dark. So I mean, nothing truly horrible to say about this one. It was just the color selection that bothered me, and they are so highly pigmented that I do find them also a bit hard to blend out. I had to work really hard when I first tried this one to make it look half decent because it would not move. It wouldn't move. It's an ultra matte bronzer, and it is so highly pigmented that the product felt just stuck on my face, and it was very hard to diffuse. So a bit sad about this one. I really want to love MAC Cosmetics, but for some reason their products never work for me. Next, let's talk about a fancy product that I was very outspoken about, and in the comment section of the video where I reviewed this product, I got people calling me a clown. I got people telling me I like drag queen makeup. I got people telling me I was just not classy. And the product I'm talking about is the Chanel Tweed collection. I feel the exact same way about these as I did when I first reviewed them on that video. These are absolutely not worth it. I can totally understand that these are marketed for people who don't like dramatic makeup, who like a very simple look, who like to look very natural, and I can also understand that you can absolutely get that very classy look with formulas that actually work, that actually have a bit of pigmentation, and that aren't super dusty. These are some of the dustier, most unpigmented eyeshadows I have ever tried. I don't like them. I don't think that they perform well at all, and I highly do not recommend them, especially because each one of these quads is like $80 something. So you're paying a ridiculous amount of money for an eyeshadow product that doesn't even work well. You're basically just paying for this Chanel logo right here at the front of the compact, and I just don't think that's worth it, and I stand by that. So do not recommend them. Definitely probably the worst product I tried in 2022. Like, out of everything I'm mentioning in today's video, these were the absolute worst. Let's keep going with some more eyeshadow, and this Better Than Chocolate palette right here from Too Faced was actually another pretty disappointing product this year. Some of these formulas don't even have pigmentation at all. Take a look at that. Barely anything, and I'm really rubbing my finger in there, okay? A little more came out this time around, but that is like no pigment. See? No pigment. Too Faced just needs to update their eyeshadow formula. They have kept the eyeshadow formula they had 10 to 12 years ago, which worked in the market back then. But there's so many other brands that have totally stepped up the makeup game, and we're now used to better formulas, more pigmented, more glidey, products that are more creamy, not dusty. And so even though this palette right here has, I would say, a decent formula with a few exceptions, that particular shade is horrible, it just doesn't wow me. And look at that. See, it's like nothing exciting about this one. The colors that were different for Too Faced are the colors that don't work, because I feel like Too Faced has a million different palettes that look exactly like this one, with very similar shades of brown, very similar undertones, right? So the thing that made me want to buy this palette were the pops of color that the palette has, and neither one of those shades works at all. They're the least pigmented shades that this palette have. You can't even build them up. You have to work really hard with them to make anything happen. That green's a little better, but it's just not a palette that is worth it in my opinion. Plus, I think Too Faced just needs to come up with a palette that doesn't look exactly like their past 10 palettes look. Like, they all look the same, they all perform kind of similarly, and we just want something new, something more exciting. And so yeah, this was not a good product that I tried this year, so I had to put it in this video. And pretty much the exact same thing happened to me with this next palette I'm going to talk about. Also from a brand that I used to absolutely love, and their quality and my excitement for them has been on the decline for the past few years, and that is Urban Decay. This palette right here was actually such a good idea. This Naked palette was made in collaboration with an artist, and I thought that the colors that they picked for the palette were actually beautiful, okay? I'm really always here for jewel tone shades. I'm always here for teals that are sparkly. The actual color story of this palette, before I tried it or swatched it, was something that was very, very attractive to me. However, the performance wasn't there when it came to the Urban Decay formula. I find that their formula has gotten worse with the years rather than better, because I still have my original Naked palette, and the formulas in the original Naked palette are bomb. I've had it for over 10 years now, and they still perform well if I were to want to swatch them or put them on my eyelids. And this right here is a dry, non-pigmented, powdery mess. I had to wet my brush with setting spray in order to finally make these jewel tone shades right here work, because they were just not going on my eyelid pigmented enough. And these more transition-y type matte shades down here had barely any pigment at all. It was quite a mess. I ended up getting a look that I actually really, really loved with this palette, but it took me, I think, 3 different tries to get there, and a lot of setting spray. Also, this color right here, this matte pastel purpley type shade, I was very excited for, and it performs so horrible. It is patchy, it is not pigmented, and it doesn't blend out, or when you blend it, it just disappears from your eye. A huge mess, to be honest with you, which was a huge shame, because I was very excited about the color story of this palette, and I actually think the colors they picked are great. It's just the performance that totally lacks for me. The next product I'm going to mention was a product that I totally gave the benefit of the doubt to, but ultimately I just don't reach for it. I'm not really liking it. It might be a little bit unfair for me to put it in this video because it's not a bad product, but I was just a little bit let down, a bit disappointed by it, so I'm putting it in this video. And I'm talking about this Patrick Ta for Face palette. This palette has 2 blushes and a highlighter. The 2 blushes are actually good. I do like them. They're nothing out of this world extraordinary. They perform okay, and I actually think that the 2 colors are really nice and wearable, which I really appreciate. The blushes are okay. The blushes, not bad at all. If he were to have put a 3rd blush in this palette would probably not be in this video at all. The issue I have with this palette is the highlighter. What in the world is this highlighter up here? Let me see if the camera wants to focus. Take a look right there. Do you see it? Me neither. It's just a clear, glossy type situation that gives you no highlight at all whatsoever. I don't get it. And then the one at the bottom here, it's like chunky and not that pigment and kind of very average. I just expected so much more from this Patrick Ta face palette. Like I said, it's not a terrible palette. I absolutely love the blushes, but the highlighter was just such a big disappointment. It makes this palette not exciting to me at all, and I never reach for it because this is all I can think about, how bad this highlighter is. Like I said, no pigmentation at all, and when you do get a bit of pigmentation from it, it is just this like chunky highlighty type product that, I don't know, it just doesn't excite me. Like I said, I do totally think I'm being a bit unfair to it by putting it in this video because I do really love the blushes, but it is what it is. I would much rather buy his individual blushes than this palette. I just don't recommend it. Now, the last product I want to talk about is the Jaclyn Cosmetics face tint situation. I don't have it, so here's a picture of it. It is a horrible makeup product. It enhances every pore on your face. It is a patchy product going on. It has absolutely no coverage, and if you try and build it up, it creates these like huge patches of makeup where you just have to take everything off and try again, start from zero. I really dislike that product. It was the worst foundation tint type product I tried in 2022. I don't know who approved that, but it was the worst. I think when Jaclyn talked about it, she was talking about it as kind of like a primer type product to use underneath foundation. I don't see how it would even work like that because, like I said, even if you're not counting on the coverage of it, it creates patches on the skin that look very dry, and every pore on your face is enhanced and emphasized. So just a really bad complexion product in my opinion. Didn't recommend it when I tried it, and it definitely is one of the worst products I tried in 2022. Okay, I hope nobody's mad at me. I hope none of your favorite products made it to this video. If you liked today's video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye.